live. Okay, so now I need to quickly figure out. Okay, so now I need to. Why is that doing that? Is it on? Is it on? I can't figure out if it's on or not. That says it's upcoming, but it should be live now. Yep. Just sorry about that. I had to double check that we had audio because the last couple of times I've tried a live, I haven't had the proper audio. So today we are brewing a mead live. I've done a little bit of prep beforehand, just so hopefully it goes a little bit smoother than it could possibly, because obviously I've got no way of editing anything. So it's literally on the fly, rugged and raw. There's probably going to be screw ups and things like that. But anyway, I'm revisiting a mead that used Black Forest mix, which is a mixture of sour cherries, blackberries, sweet cherries, blueberries, and black currants. All stuff that you can find in the forest, apparently. Well, I'll tell you now, there's none of that in the forest near me. But anyway, without further ado, let's get ourselves some honey mixed into this hot water. We're going to be doing a double batch today, so it's going to have a lot of honey in. A lot of honey in. Off the top of my head, I want to say 2,880 grams. So in that goes, and we're just going to mix that into the hot water first. The reason why we mix it in first is because if you mix it into lukewarm water or room temperature water, it can be pretty difficult. If you mix it into hot water or even warm water, it makes such a difference. Let's get them out of my way for now. That's the berries. Now, the reason for this mead is A, because I'm revisiting an old mead that I screwed up at the last moment. I ended up putting in too much honey in secondary. So it was actually way too sweet. And I couldn't actually add the fruits that I'd planned to put in after. Well, I could have done, but it had just been sort of a waste because it had been absolutely 100% too sweet, which is not what you want, really. So in with the honey. So I have brewed this one before, like I say. So I'm going to pretty much follow every single step that I did before, and not add too much honey at the end, so that I can use all the dried fruit that I plan to use in the original brew. Now, the original brew is about a year ago, I'm sure. You can check that out if you just type into the YouTube search #fermented world and then brewing forest mead or forest berry mead. It'll come up straight away. Now, there is one called a berry mead as well, which isn't this one. So just make sure you get the right one. We will be adding a small amount of hot water to these honey pots just to rinse out the last bits of honey because we want all of the fermentable in there. And yes, I lick the lids. I don't care. They're my lids to lick. Now, that's given us a considerable amount more than expected. How many liters of liquid do we have in there? So we've got 9 liters of liquid in there. So I'm going to have to remove some because we've got 2.5 here. Should I risk it? I don't think I should. Because the problem with fruits, right? When you ferment fruits, they're extremely volatile. Well, that's big money there, buddy. Have you ever shat your drawers? Yes, of course. I'm 40 years old, dude. Who hasn't shit themselves? Crikey. And we've all got that to look forward to as we get older as well. Luckily, it was never one of my own beverages that did it. It was probably a bit of dodgy food. Are we going to risk it? It's going to be around the 11-litre mark. I'm going to risk it. I'm going to risk it. Right, so we're going to mix this honey into this warm water. Like so. Hopefully, I've prepared everything and I'm not going to have to go off camera once, apart from to grab the tea. Now, the reason why we use a bit of tea is for tannins. Just mixing in that honey into the water. Do you need a power drill? No. Does it make it easier? Yes. Now that didn't mix down as well as I thought it was going to. So we are going to, oh shit, I'm dropping things. I knew I'd mess things up. So I am going to actually have to remove some liquid from that for safety reasons. Because if we have too much liquid in here to begin with, the problem we then get is as the sugars start to ferment, that's going to create bubbles. The bubbles is then going to push the liquid, the liquid to the top, forcing the fruit up, which is then going to push it up and out the airlock, which then causes me a hell of a lot of mess. And I don't want a hell of a lot of mess. So we need some more hot water because that did not mix in very well. So I think we'll go with another litre of hot. No, we ain't got a litre of hot, so that's how much we've got. We'll deal with that. Reason why I've taken such much out is because I don't want to risk having an absolute nightmare of a time over Christmas while this is fermenting. That's better. It's more like an actual liquid now instead of treacle. What language is he speaking? I'm speaking English, my friend. You know what the world needs now? More alcohol. You are correct. It most definitely does, Bill. Well said. But no. What it does need is it needs people to take the power of brewing alcohol into their own hands. Because in the UK, we pay a lot of tax or duty, alcohol duty. So like probably 50% of it is actually tax. So I think to myself, well, why should I when I can just brew my own? I make beer, cider, mead. I do it all. And you know what? It's good fun. It's a good hobby to have because at the end, you always have some really nice beverages. Hello, Kate Godfrey. How are you doing? I hope you are good on this lovely Friday. Now, with a surname like Godfrey, I'm assuming you're from the UK, which means I hope you've got a bit of sunshine like I have here in sunny Nottingham. Just going to rinse these through, get the last bits of residue out with the warm water that's already in there, sort of working. I've got stuff dribbling all over the place, and it's not me. Hi, I'm not from the UK. Oh, you must be American then with Godfrey. Godfrey could be an American name, I suppose. Or maybe even Canadian. But then again, I suppose people with different names live all over the bloody world, don't they? So it's slightly narrow-minded of me to think that by having a certain surname that you're from a specific area. So I do. Yeah, I apologise. I'm dropping things now. You're making me fumble things, Kate. Hello, Foxtrot from New Zealand. Now, New Zealand is a country that I have always wanted to visit. It just looks so magical. Right, that can go back in there. We've turned all these upside down, so we will be collecting the last bits of them shortly, I am sure. Now, this wasn't even supposed to be a brew, and I'm actually doing it live so that I don't have to edit it, because it wasn't meant to be. I've got 101 things to do. I've got loads of Christmas presents to wrap, but I needed to get this done because I defrosted these because I had no flipping room in the freezer. So that's pretty much it. That's how we're rolling. So what we got here, we've got 3, so 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I think we'll be all right. Just get some of this out of my way. So into that, we're going to pour our honey water. Oh, yeah. And as you can see, because of the hot water we used, there is literally nothing left in there. Now, if you did that at room temperature water, you'd have it all stuck around the bottom of your container here. But we don't, because I am flipping awesome. And I have to keep telling myself that, because no one else will. 10.5 litres. Do you know what? I think that's on the money, because we are going to lose some when it comes to adding the... it's going to lose some when we add the dried fruit later on in what we call secondary. So this is the primary fermentation. We need to get the yeast out of the fridge. That would help. Give it a chance to wake its ass up. Oh, my cucumbers flying out. Everything's going wrong, guys. Do it live, he says. It'll be fine. I need to weigh 10 grams of that out, is what I need to do. So, should get my scales and a container. Sorry if I have to keep popping off. It is not an intentional thing. Well, it is, because I need to do it, but anywho. Right, so we've also made quite a large bowl of tea. So this is 2 tea bags and 2 mugs of water. Now, this is for what we call tannins. It gives it that extra dimension, gives it a little bit of a... Now, you want them to overbrew. You want them to brew for about 10-15 minutes easily. Did I brew mine for 10-15 minutes? Well, you'll never know. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But for all intents and purposes, I did. All right. Okay. We need 10 grams of this yeast. I mean, look at that. That is a massive jar of yeast. This is lalvin EC1118. Is the current yeast that I am using. Do you know what? I think 5 grams is enough. Looking at that, we'll go for 6. Just because we've got loads doesn't mean we need to be wasteful. Waste is something you will never see me do. I do not waste things. Right, so that can be put to a side for now because we don't need it just yet. Just need it to warm up a little bit. Next step is some yeast nutrients. Now, some people choose not to use these. That's fine. If you don't want to use yeast nutrients, don't use them. You do it however you want to do it. But you might struggle a little bit when it comes to adding the dried fruit later on, because if you don't... Sorry, no, that's wrong. I'm thinking about the fermentation stoppers. Yeast nutrients just gives it a little bit of a boost. Honey doesn't have any nutrients in. per se. It's very, very nutrient lacking, which is why we use a yeast nutrient. Use 1 level teaspoon. That's half a tablespoon. It'll be all right. I'm a professional. I balls that up, to be honest. But you know what? We'll just roll with it. There's more than needs to be in there, which is what matters. If we didn't put enough in, that's where we could have a problem. Love, sweet love. Harold Buttstuff says. Kate Godfrey waves. You would fit in here. You look like a hobbit. Oh, thank you. That is a compliment and a half. I've been called a hobo wizard before once as well. I quite like that one. Hobo wizard was where it was at. I really, really like that one. So let's give this a little mix. Get those yeast nutrients. Oh, shit. My peaches are falling all over the place. That'll do, donkey. That'll do. Cheers from America. Cheers to you. I don't have a beverage to drink because it is only 11:41 a.m. here. So it would be frowned upon, but not undone. Not undone. There are certain circumstances which, you know, allow for beverages at insanely early times of day. Where am I going with this now? I need something to put my mesh bag around. Now, this is probably going to go Pete Tong, but we'll see. We'll see if we can clamp it. Does we have any clamps? We should do. Normally got some lying around. Quick splosh in the sanitizing water. It's always a good idea to keep sanitizing solution in the sink or in a large tub while you're doing things that require sanitary. All this is pre-sanitized. It's all cleaned. It's all nice and clean as a whistle using Star Sands. I don't normally use Star Sands, but the guy I buy my malt from when I'm doing all grain brews, he just sent it through one time. So I can never find it. There we go. I used to have my own scissors in my little brewing drawer down here, but I know for a fact the kids have been in there and they've nicked them. There's no point me even looking because I know they won't be in there. Oh, Nelly. Let's push this back so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I've got a muslin bag in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this fruit into this bag. Like so. Just give it a bit of a crush as it goes. It's already been frozen and thawed out. So it will technically ferment a lot easier because when you freeze fruits, it damages the cell wall. And then what that enables you to do is ferment a lot more of it, a lot more efficiently. So let's ditch that somewhere. You can go on there for now. And we do the same with the second bag. So it's going to be a kilogram of fruits. A mix of cherries, blackberries, blueberries, and black currants. Well, that one went in a lot easier, didn't it? Just like so. We can pour that over here now. All that juice can go in there. What we're looking at, 11 litres. Yeah, I think we'll be all right. it's going to be a little bit active. You know, it's going to have a bit of a va-va-voom. Take the clamps off. And then we're going to tie a knot in this bag. Now you can just throw them in, but over time I've kind of learned that, let's give them a little bit of a mush up. Yeah, over time I've kind of learned that it's better to contain them a bit. Obviously my hands are clean, they've been in the sanitary solution. Right, let's pop that in there. Let's pour that in there. Oh, the water level's gone to 12 litres now, which is not good. Hopefully we get a nice calm fermentation without too much trouble. I'm just going to go rinse my hands 1 second. Please do bear with me. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much the mead sorted. Now, I'm going to be using a digital hydrometer today called a tilt. Now, I've only got one of these because I won it on a competition. Normally, I wouldn't have something as expensive as this. As you can see, I do things cheap. You know, I ferment with cheap honey. I buy cheap ingredients. If I want something to taste a little bit special, I'll put better honey in after. We call that back sweetening. What is the temperature of this? 20 degrees. That is pretty good. And it's going to be cooling down slightly anyway because that fruit was a little bit cooler because it's been sat in the fridge. Next step, Mr. G-Man, is to take a hydrometer reading. Let's just give it a little swizzle round, actually, now that the fruit's been put in. I want to make sure that we're getting an accurate reading because the fruit's had sugar as well, you see. And there's going to be a hell of a lot of sugar added, not sugar, a hell of a lot of fruit added to this after as well. We're going to be putting in 100 grams of each fruit that's in there. Maybe more. All depends. I mean, look, it's got a lovely colour already and it's not even finished. Magnificent. That can move out of the way. Gravity is 82. Let me just quickly calculate what that could potentially give us because I might add some more honey. Because I like my meads between 11 and 15%. That's just where I like it. Oh, come on. Oh, do one. Right, you know what? It's going to be a little bit lower than I was expecting it to be. So I have got... What's there? Some honey open the kids have been using. I could give them a fresh one then. No. No, there is not. Of course there is not. Why would there be? Well, there's some honey in that. That can go in. That wasn't even liquid. That must have been from the last brew. These are the liquid ones. But it's going to be negligible. It's not going to make a great deal of difference. So it's going to be 4 3/4. But what I need to do is I need to hoy this out of here a sec because I don't want to be mixing this together while the fruit's in there, because that's going to be a bad idea. We'll aim for about half of a normal sized container. So we was up there, we've just put in that plus that. I'm going to say that's half, so 4.5 pots. The recipe will be in the description when this video gets uploaded. It takes a while for lives to get uploaded, but when it is, there'll be a description and there'll also be a recipe. So you won't just be having to guess. All of my recipes are shared for free as well. Always in the description. Right, now let's take another hydrometer reading. What we want to aim for is around the 1.100. Yeah, I had to make sure I was saying it right then. At that point, that's where you're going to get your like 14 to 15% alcohol, which is where I like the mead to be. I like it up to be, you know, sometimes have a little bit of kick. And to be honest, that didn't really add a great deal, but it's because of the volume that we're doing, I assume. Let's put it up to 90. I can live with that. Yeah, we'll rock with it. So we've got our honey in, we've got our water in, we've got our tea in, we've got, oh, what did I say? 2.88 kilograms of honey, plus the half of one there, which is another 380. We've got 2 kilograms of fruit. Sorry, 1 kilogram of fruit. And it's at the 90 mark, which should give us, if it ferments all the way out, around 12%, I expect. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Without further ado, we pitch the yeast him at yeast face, sprinkle the yeast on the top, and then we're going to mix again. So I could have just left the mixer in there, really, couldn't I? Hindsight a bitch. So what we're doing now is we're mixing in the yeast, but we're also adding oxygen. What's up, Daisy? So as well as the yeast needing sugar to be able to ferment, it needs a hell of a lot of oxygen to begin with. Later on in the brew, you want to keep as much oxygen away from it as possible. Tend not to open the bucket unless you really, really have to, unless you're putting something else into it, or you've got to, I don't know, change the bucket or whatever. Now, this could potentially end up going everywhere because of the level that we've got in. I misjudged it slightly, I don't mind telling you. But, you know, it's all learning. There's a big difference between those power settings. Right. Again, you don't need a power tool to do this. It just helps. With the amount of mead that I make and beer that I make, it's just handy to have it. Otherwise, you know, my arms would be knackered. Quickly rinse my hands. We've got everything in there now. We just need to replace the fruit, which is contained in a bag. Yeah. Pop that back in there, followed by that. Get it all in. Now it is around the 12 litre mark, but I expect the bag of fruit has probably added about a litre to that anyway. Yeast is in, yeast nutrients in, we've got our water, we're at 20 degrees, which is what I ferment at, so that's lucky. I'm going to add the digital hydrometer, and what this does is it actually tracks the fermentation in real time, tells you what the temperature is, and it gives you graphs and things like that showing you how quickly it's fermenting, and it tells you what the ABV is. Now, as good as these are, they're not 100% foolproof. Always have a proper hydrometer, or analog if you want to call it that. So in goes the tilt hydrometer, and once I finish this live, I'm going to flick that on, and then it will start doing the process of what that is. So all that's left really, guys, on this wonderful forest berry mead revisit is to add an airlock and to write on it what it is. That's gone in a bit too far there. So you want to follow along if you want to see how this one goes. It will be uploaded into normal videos. You got to make sure that lid's down tight. I mean, luckily, it's the time of year where there's no fruit flies or anything. And then, oh, nearly lost my mic then. So, forest berry. Uh, 1.090 original gravity. Today's date is the 19th of the 12th, 25. So, thank you very much for everybody who's joined me. I hope you enjoyed this little live. And there we have. This is going to be 12 litres. Or no, we'll have less actually. In the grand scheme of thing, I think we'll finish with around 10 litres of this. Because once we remove the bag of fruit, the level's going to come down by anything to 1 litre to half a litre. And then when we add all the dried fruit at the end as well, so once this primary fermentation's finished, we then put it into something called secondary. We add fermentation stoppers, which stops the yeast from fermenting any more sugars. Then we can add dried fruit, which then bolsters the flavor. When you add dried fruit, yes, you lose some of your beverage, but what it gives in flavor is well worth the loss. It is so bloody worth it. At first, I was a bit umming and ahhing. Then I tried it, and yeah, it really did work. So I'm going to go get some wrapping done for Crimbo. You guys take it easy, and I'll see you all soon. Forest berry mead. Ciao.